Born with the wrong skin color and killed for who they are. How does one even begin to forgive something as evil as a racially motivated murder, especially when there is no apology? Let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingo. It's the final week of the show here on SABC 3. But guess what? We'll continue to fulfill our promise that this show remains all about you. Now, for decades, our country was plagued by a conflict between a minority who wanted to oppress the majority of the population. Human rights and human dignity, of course, were the big casualties of this conflict. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission was set up to investigate human rights violations between the years 1960 and 1994. The TRC was also set up so perpetrators could confess their crimes and for victims and their families, importantly, to finally get the answers so many desperately needed. Here's a brief reminder.
You are a victim of torture, of harassment, of imprisonment.
Yeah.
And we want you to tell us your story.
I still don't know what happened to his body, if in fact he died.
Yeah.
Still painful to watch, isn't it? A reminder of what happened, what people endured under the iron fist of apartheid. And that's why we're asking in our poll question this evening, can we forgive the proponents of apartheid? Can we forgive and just move on? Choose from the three colors. Green is for yes, yellow is for maybe, red is for no. You can send us a WhatsApp video, 065-862-4548. Share your views, share your thoughts with us. You can do so right away. And of course, we have our poll on our website, sabcnews.com. The conversation is also on Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use our hashtags, SABCDG25 and hashtag SABCNews. So the TRC tells only a small part of a much larger story around the human rights abuses we saw under apartheid. Should we forgive? Can we forgive? Whom do we forgive? Many families are still reeling from the atrocities of the old system. Recently, of course, we saw the reopening of the case into the death of the apartheid activist Ahmed Timor. How did he die? Why was he killed? Who killed him? When we ask these questions, we've got to also know, who is the forgiveness for? Is it for those who are left behind? But how do you forgive without an apology? Do we need to resurrect a conversation about forgiveness? I suppose that's the underlying theme of our discussion this evening. I'm pleased to tell you we're joined tonight in studio by Lindiwe Hani, who is the author of Being Chris Hani's Daughter. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for being with us on the Democracy Gauge.
Thanks for having me, Bongani.
Lindiwe, I mean, of course, your family story is well known in South Africa, and it was your father's killing was designed not only to hurt your family, it really was something that was designed to destabilize the entire country and the entire process leading up to democracy. How have you, as his daughter, lived with what happened?
With great difficulty, I'd have to say. I mean, I was only 13 when it happened, so I went from a place of not understanding, to a place of complete and utter anger, hatred for the country. I mean, I remember when Madiba had to calm everyone down, I was incensed with him, because I wanted the country to burn. I always say that what I felt inside at losing my father, I wanted everyone to feel. And because I was so young, I didn't realize that a lot of South Africans felt that anger. A lot of South Africans felt that pain and that hurt. So as time went on, I mean, as I wrote in the book, you know, that I turned to drugs and alcohol, and now that I reflect back, it was to numb the pain that I felt. You know, we don't, especially I believe in our culture, we're not taught how to mourn.
Yeah.
You know, we're told to just be strong and to move on.
You are from a struggle family, if I may say.
Yeah.
You'd already sacrificed so much, even as a child, perhaps without necessarily even knowing.
Correct.
Yours presumably was not a normal upbringing because of your father's activities, because of who your mother is. When you were then asked, I suppose, to forgive, was it once again you having to make a huge sacrifice?
I was never asked to forgive. It was never part of the cards. It's very funny. That's the last thing that anyone expected of me or asked of me. And the whole journey that I took to meet Janusz Walush and Clive Derby Lewis was done on my own. My family wasn't really supportive. My mother didn't like the idea of me doing it. It was a choice that I made in order to just lay the ghosts. You know, I always say that there was just too much noise in my head and in my heart regarding my father's murder and what had happened. And I just needed to go through this journey just so that I can come out of it and to just put it behind me. You know, not necessarily to forgive. I always say to people that we love to use this word forgiveness like it's the end goal.
Yeah.
I don't think forgiveness is the end goal. I think if you get to that point, it's lovely, it's great. But I think the end goal should be going through the journey of healing oneself and letting go. You know?
Where have you got to?
I'm at a place where I've completely let it. I always say that when I walked out of the first meeting with Janusz Walush, when I left that prison, for the first time, I think that's the day I really began to mourn my father. It sounds very weird, which was 24 years later, but that was the first time it hit me that Daddy's dead. He's not coming back. And I think because for the first time I allowed myself to hear what you were saying.
What did he tell you?
He told me what he's been telling everybody, that he believed that Daddy was in the wrong because of his communist background, and he was afraid South Africa would take on the same tone as his homeland, Poland.
Yeah.
You know, and he felt that it was his duty. And even when he was explaining how he murdered my dad, he used that word, I had to complete the mission. Because when he first said, I shot him once, I remember asking him, why did you continue? I thought, why didn't you just injure him to make a point? And he said, no, I had to complete my mission. So this was a man who had a mission. And I don't honestly think that he was sorry for that. But what he did for me is that he apologized for murdering my father. And that's what I chose to take. You know, I don't necessarily know how sorry he is that he murdered a communist leader. But I didn't lose a communist leader.
You lost your father.
I lost my father. So his acknowledgement of that's what helped me begin the mourning process and to let it go. Like, I don't know if I've forgiven him. I don't know if I can, because there are moments when I think about what our lives would have been like, that my daughter would know her grandfather. I get really angry and I get really, really sad. But the thing is, it's just part of the journey. You go backwards, you go forwards, but as long as I've made a decision to engage with the journey.
So he still wants to get parole. He wants to get out. I know that, you know, your father's comrades certainly have spoken quite fiercely against it, and so has your mother.
Correct.
Where are you on this?
I always say that one must respect their elders, but in my view, I believe that having him behind bars does not bring back my father. It doesn't make me sleep better at night. You know, I spent so many years being embroiled in the conspiracy theory, and it brought me nothing but hurt and pain, you know. So I know there's always this question, tell us who really killed Chris Hani. For me, at the end of the day, he pulled the trigger. And whoever was behind it will come out one day. But I am not going to obsess about it any longer, Bongani, because that's what made me nuts. So whether Janusz stays in jail, doesn't stay in jail, I really could care less.
Were we too quick as a country? You spoke about the word forgiveness and how it's often, you know, portrayed as the end goal, as the ultimate point to get to. Were we too quick as a country, given what we had to do, what we had to deal with, to almost paper over these things, to put a band-aid on what really were gaping wounds? That's
so weird, because that's exactly how I describe it to my friends. That it was a gaping wound that we just put a plaster over, and now it's seeping. I actually would even go as far as I believe we were forced to. You know, I don't think that our pain, our hurt, our trauma was recognized. either by the minority party or even by our leaders. I think there was such a need to make it such a peaceful transition. We will not go like the other countries. We will go into the night peacefully. And that was at the expense of a number of people.
Linda, we're going to do something we don't usually do. I want to ask you to stay a little bit longer because I think this is such a necessary conversation to have. We're reflecting now on 25 years of democracy and what that has brought us as a country. But in a way, your story epitomizes the healing that the country, in many ways, I think still needs to do. So stay right where you are. Of course, a reminder of our poll question this evening. Can we forgive the proponents of apartheid? Do we forgive and move on? Green is for yes, yellow is for maybe, red is for no. Do send us your WhatsApp videos to 065-862-4548. We'll share some of your views after the break. And of course, Linda is going to stay with us.
We do not just speak, we let every voice in our nation find full expression in language and in culture. We do not just teach, we empower all people with education. We do not just bring you the news, we place you where the news is happening. We do not just entertain, we take you on journeys. We do not just broadcast sport, we create an arena for sporting heroes to inspire you. Ours is not just a job, it's a calling to ensure that everyone in our nation is informed, educated, and entertained. We're able to do this because you do your part. SABC TV licenses. It's all made possible by you.
Political parties have delivered their manifestos, and now it's time for you to make sense of it all. From campaigning to declarations.
Let's speak to the people on the ground.
We are sick of crime.
Interesting comments coming from the ground there.
SABC News delivers unrivaled, unrestrained coverage, giving you the platform to express your views.
I want more job opportunities.
SABC News will be live from all corners of the country. You will get expert analysis in all languages, party reactions, and the true story behind the numbers.
It's all about the numbers.
Across 4 TV stations, 19 radio stations, and online platforms. SA Decides 2019. SABC News. Independent, impartial.
SABC News is producing more than 150 election-related programs ahead of the May 8th election. If you think our content is not in line with our editorial policy, direct your complaints in writing to complaints@sabc.co.za. Complaints on election-related broadcast content should also be lodged with ICASA's Complaints and Compliance Committee by sending an email to bmashiku@icasa.org.za or call 012-568-3233.
Welcome back. Now, the People's View allows you to interact with us live and share your views candidly. Let's have a look at what some of you have to say on this topic.
Well, I suppose forgiveness is divine and holy, and besides being divine and holy, it's therapeutic, to get rid of all these toxic feelings that you have. But it's not easy to forgive someone who doesn't really show genuine reasons for forgiveness. It's not easy because even if we forgive, this thing, especially about our democracy that is non-existent, is that this thing has changed from being physical. Now it's a mental thing.
No, we can't forgive them due to the struggle. They've put us through the violence and everything, and they have given us the lazy minds. They thought for us. They gave us jobs. They fed us. They gave us education, and they gave us everything. Now black people are lazy to do their own things today. They are fighting foreign people due to everything that's been given to them. They feel like everything belongs to them. They have instilled violence in us, so no, it's wrong.
Asibaxoleleni bonke laba ababenza i-apartheid kuthina ngoba ukuqhela kubona kuzimushela isikhathi thina esikwazi ukushintsha into eyenzeka kodwa singakwazi ukulungisa i-future ye-country ukuthi ibe right. Asithatha i-focus yonke yethu ne-energy esinayo silungisela ukuthi izwe lesilibala singagcili entweni eyenzeka kwi-apartheid kuhle ukuthi uxole ukhohle ngento ukuthi ulakhe iqhubeke ungaleke uxole entweni esiyenzeka.
Right, we're continuing our conversation with our guest, Lindiwe Hani, the author of Being Chris Hani's Daughter. I think the book is self-explanatory. Lindiwe, we were speaking a little earlier, and you said that for you, at a point, it became not so much the thing to find out who the orders came from, right? Many people will grapple with this issue, and they'll say, how do we forgive when we don't know the full extent of the horrors? There are many families who still don't have answers about what happened to their loved ones. What do you say to them?
Well, that's very true. You see, I mean, I don't want to use the word fortunate, but I believe that our family was fortunate to know who pulled the trigger. We know where my father is buried, so we have that closure. And I always think about all those children who are my age, who lost fathers, and they're still over the borders, and no one has come to disclose what has happened. And that's very, very difficult to forgive. But that's what I'm saying, Bongani, this word forgiveness is what is a crutch. Because I think that people can just choose to say, we might never know what's going to happen. But does that mean that if you never know what happens, should you stay in a place of hatred and anger? Because then you're just doing a disservice to yourself. The perpetrators have moved on. They have not given a second thought to any of our pain, as we've seen, because no one ever came forward to admit anything really, and no one ever asked for our forgiveness. We like to talk about that we must forgive, but who ever asked us to forgive? They didn't say sorry.
Clive Derby Lewis, how did that one go?
That one I found very disingenuous. I didn't find him... He was full of reasons and excuses as to why he did it,
Like what?
For example, if de Klerk hadn't put a referendum, he wouldn't have been forced to do this. If Terry Blanche hadn't gone to Puputatswana, they wouldn't have had to take this stand, Everybody else was the reason for his actions. Whereas I found with Walush, he was very clear. I did this because of XYZ, and these were my beliefs, and these are still my beliefs.
Did Derby Lewis say sorry?
No, he wasn't. I didn't find him remorseful or contrite. And the thing is, he was also with his wife. And she's a very litigious person, so I have to be careful about what I say. But I found her to be the worst of them all. I still think there's something there. I left that house, as opposed to when I left the jail, that house I left and I felt cold. And I said to myself, I'll never want to interact with them again. Whereas with Walush, I've had a few interactions.
So talk to me then about your family's process in dealing with all of this. You said you respect the wishes of the elders, you understand their position, but this was your personal journey to get some answers, to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were. How did you negotiate your visits to these people with your family?
It wasn't with my family. I initially went through with Clive because he was out.
No, what I mean is, how did you deal with what you had done? How did you go back to your family? What was the conversation to say, Mama, this is what they're saying? I didn't go back to my mom and said, this is what they say, because everyone has their own journey. And my mother didn't necessarily want to hear it. So I told her that I am going, and I told her that I had been. And then, but I never sat with her and told her in detail what he had said, because she didn't really want to hear it. My sister, though, I told her in detail about what he had said, because she was interested, And as a family, where are you on this now?
We have our own views. I think my mum, as you know, is very clear and adamant about what should happen.
Yeah.
My sister is less vocal about it, but I think I don't want to speak on her behalf. And as I say, there are two parts of me. That part of me that I think that he should stay because of what he did. And then there's another part of me that says, what is the point? You know? There's a part of me that would like him to spend the last few years with his daughter, because at the end of the day, I'd give anything for 1 second with my father. So I always think that the day he pulled the trigger, he destroyed two little girls' lives, essentially, his daughter and mine. So there's a part of me that's just like, can he maybe just go and live the rest of his life with his child, you know?
We ask everyone to always choose 3 colors. Yeah. Green is for yes, yellow is maybe, red is for no. Can we forgive the proponents of apartheid? Which color do you choose?
I'd say no.
Very powerful words. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Lindiwe Ani. All right, if you want to be part of the People's View in our shows, you saw those WhatsApp videos from a little earlier. The number to do so is on 065-862-4548. Now, if your name is Valerie Mabalane, your story is coming up after the break.
From Cairo to Cape Town, Madagascar to Morocco, we are one thing.
He made history by being the youngest leader to take his party to parliament in 2014. He has made friends and foes. On African Perspective this week, we speak to the leader of the economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, on the role of the youth in politics. Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC News.
We're explorers. We always have been. Endlessly curious, always looking for answers, for new frontiers, for new stories. Because that is who we are. From script to screen, from yelling action to taking you on a journey. Radio producers, script writers, on-air presenters, news reporters, sports analysts. We spend late nights creating captivating storylines and earlier mornings keeping you informed, educated, and entertained. For us, it's not a job, it's a calling. We do this and more because you do your part. SABC TV licenses, made possible by you.
Solani Mkiva says that they believe that the king should be released and that they are not being opportunistic.
The last 4 years we have been engaging with government. It cannot be a post-colonial government that begins to jail a king in a context of what actually happened.
Bobby Solomons, he's the spokesperson of the Alex Shutdown Committee, the multi-billion rand Alexander Renewal Project. Nothing came of that.
Community wants to know what really happened to the money.
The creative director of the label, Mansu, that of course means black is beautiful in Sesotho. What has been your experience in that regard, given some of the more established labels that you have managed to work with?
It is hard. 15 years is a long time. There's a lot of sacrifice for your family to make for you.
This is the thing.
Wearing without the brief.
This is it this morning.
Welcome back. You're watching the Democracy Gauge. As we've done throughout the show, we crisscross the country to get the stories of ordinary South Africans, and they're still on our website, sabcnews.com/elections. There they are, dotting that map. Each of these markers is a personal story of a South African reflecting on the last 25 years of democracy. Now, 1994, as we've been talking, saw millions of South Africans voting for the first time. Those who weren't able to do so because they were too young quite often recall the excitement and joy in their households as their parents were taking that opportunity. Valerie Mabalane from Atchittville, west of Pretoria, explains how democracy has changed her life.
Lina la ka ke Valerie Hluphi Mpofuma Mabalane. Ke belegetswe Rankua, Sonwane ka holela Mabopane. I'm 31 years old. Matrixville ke tlile ka lenyalo from ka 2011. Nako hae re tswa ka molapele disadvantaged, no? So immediately he re hola ka mahae, one for sure, child government e re hodisitse, socially e re hodisitse ke social grants. Bana ba ko hae, I have 3 testimonials sa bana ba ko hae. O mong a ira teaching, o mong a ira bu doctor, o mong a ira bu accountancy. Po botlhe ba kene ka NFSAS, which was through government. So na re benefitile on that. Le nna ke kry-ile ntlo ya government, ke kry-ile stand sa service stand ya government. So I can't complain much hore ka di service tsa government to me.
I'll baby tonight.
Kana go ne since ke le monyane, but I could see the relief mo matlhong a batswadi baka le rona re khono ba le voice re khono kena le mo long hore nga hotseniwe kana go ne ke sa le monyane ke sa tlhaloganye hore why ke sa khono ya certain places, but ka khono bona hore batswadi baka they were relieved ka future ya ko bona hore nka se khono nka se phele bophelo bo bona ba bo phetseng buima ba sa khono ho achieve anything else. I wish there should be more awareness on how to free ourselves economically. Rebel education is strong enough to make sure hore ratloga mo di chain tse re le mo tsona. It's very painful ho bona, especially a black foundation re phela ka this thing bare ke hand to mouth re survive ka yona. So nane ke gore my biggest wish mo South Africa e ke bona hore e tla fetsa dilo tse tsotlhe tsene gore everyone abe economically independent. Re setback ya service delivery re disetilwe re tlogetswe re lebetswe, you understand? That is why most of the time no I re lokiseng before I vote. If dilo tse re di khopelang le nna ke di khopelang as individual ne mo mayoreng ya rena or mo South Africa di sa mitiwe, or at least half of those things di sa irahale, ke tlo ba le problem ya voter. I'm not sure hore ke tlo voter. I'm going with yellow.
Maybe that's that she chose. Right, before we say goodbye, let's take a look then at the results for today's poll coming up on your screen. We've been asking the question, of course, can we forgive the proponents of apartheid? The vast majority of you saying no. Now, tomorrow, we're asking, have you made an effort to learn another South African language? Our poll is open. Choose from 3 colors: green, yes; yellow, maybe; red is no. So if you want to be part of the people's view in that show, send us a WhatsApp video to 065-862-4548. From myself, Fortune, and the team, until tomorrow, good night.